In this video, I am doing a makeup of Esmeralda. I've based it on her from the Disney character. But while I was sort of practicing on how I was going to do the makeup and the costume and everything, I've seen the Disney film, like I guess you all have. I looked at the original story, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. It was originally a novel by Victor Hugo, and it was about a hunchback called Quasimodo who grew up in Notre Dame Cathedral. So I looked a bit further on, and I can assure you there was no happy endings. There was no fluffy Disney happy endings in the actual real story. So when I looked, it was basically Esmeralda's birth name was Agnes, and she is a love child, which means that, you know, she was a child that wasn't in marriage, and she was nicknamed Chantefleur, and Paquette was the mother's name, and she became a prostitute after being seduced by a young noble man. If you were poor in those times, this was a common occurrence, and she lives a miserable life in poverty and loneliness because she's a prostitute. Agnes' birth makes her happy again, so Paquette becomes happy once more, and she adores her child, and the neighbours all around where she lived in the town started to forgive her for her past of being a Scarlet Woman, because that's how it was in those days. So tragedy happens when the gypsies apparently kidnap the young baby, leaving the hideously deformed Quasimodo in her place. The people of the town come to the conclusion that the gypsies have eaten the baby. The mother flees in despair, and Quasimodo has an exorcism performed on him and is sent to Notre Dame. 15 years later, Agnes is now Esmeralda, and she's living happily amongst the gypsies of Paris. She has a pet goat called Djali, who performs counting tricks with a tambourine, an act later used as evidence that Esmeralda is a witch. Claude Frollo sends his adopted son, Quasimodo, to kidnap Esmeralda. Esmeralda was then rescued by Captain Phoebus, who she falls in love with to the point of obsession. I think we've all felt like that at times in life. Clopin Trafali, the king of the Truads, prepares to execute a poet named Pierre Gringawi for the passing of the Truads' territory, known as the Court of Miracles. In a compassionate act to save his life, Esmeralda agrees to marry this poet. Quasimodo is sentenced to pillory for his attempted kidnapping of Esmeralda. His victim, she pities him and serves him water. Because of this, Quasimodo now falls in love with her. Being beautiful and poor seems to be the answer at this part in the story. She is too disgusted by his ugliness to kiss his hands, though. Hold on. Can we stop it a minute? In the courthouse, Paquette, who is now changed her name to Sister Gudule, who was obviously Agnes, who is now Esmeralda's mother, doesn't realise that Esmeralda is her daughter and curses Esmeralda, claiming that she and the gypsies ate her lost child. 2 months later, Esmeralda is walking the streets when Fleur, who is the fiancée of Phoebus, and her wealthy friends spot Esmeralda. Fleur is jealous of Esmeralda's beauty and ignores her, but her friends call Esmeralda over out of curiosity. They start to make fun of Esmeralda's clothes. Phoebus tries to make Esmeralda feel better. Fleur grabs Esmeralda's bag and pieces of wood fall out, and Djali, Esmeralda's goat, moves the letters to spell Phoebus. Fleur, realising Esmeralda is competition, calls Esmeralda a witch and passes out. Later that month, Esmeralda meets with Phoebus and declares her love for him. Phoebus takes the opportunity to kiss her and asks her what is the point of marriage. He pretends to love her. He has no intention of leaving Fleur. Yes, men tend to want the bitch with money. He just wants to sleep with Esmeralda, which leaves her very, very hurt. Phoebus pretends to be sad and says Esmeralda must no longer love him. Esmeralda says she does love him, and Phoebus starts undoing her shirt. Frollo, who was watching from behind the door, bursts into a jealous rage, stabs Phoebus and flees. Esmeralda passes out at the sight of Frollo. When she comes to, she finds herself framed for Phoebus's murder. Miscommunication makes the jury believe that Phoebus is dead. Esmeralda proclaims her innocence, but when she is threatened with having her foot crushed in a vice, she confesses to a murder that she didn't commit. That hasn't really happened. The court sentences her to death for murder and witchcraft. Frollo visits her and says, "Sleep with me or face death." Esmeralda refuses. Frollo is mad and leaves the city. The next day, Quasimodo takes Esmeralda and runs back just before she is hanged, crying, "Sanctuary, sanctuary." She stays in the cell at Notre Dame. She and Quasimodo become friends. She looks past his misshapen exterior. Quasimodo tells her to use this whistle so that she can call him because his hearing is really bad. One day, Esmeralda sees Phoebus walking past. She asks Quasimodo to follow him. But when Quasimodo finds Phoebus, he's coming out of Fleur, the rich bitch's house. Phoebus, believing that Esmeralda is dead, believe Quasimodo is a devil, and what they called summoning spirits, and runs off. Quasimodo tells Esmeralda he didn't find Phoebus to save her feelings. Frollo tries to rape Esmeralda. She blows the whistle and Quasimodo comes. Quasimodo picks him up and beats him up. Quasimodo sees it's Frollo and he's surprised. Frollo tells Esmeralda no one can have her if he can't. He leaves the cathedral. Frollo finds Gringoire and informs Parliament has visited to remove Esmeralda from the sanctuary. Gringoire agrees to save Esmeralda. The next night, the Parisian gypsies, led by Gringoire, go to Notre Dame to rescue Esmeralda. Quasimodo mistakenly thinks the gypsies have come to turn Esmeralda in. He uses Notre Dame's defences to fight the gypsies. News of this reaches the ears of King Louis. He sends soldiers, including Phoebus, to end the riot. The gypsies are slaughtered by the king's men. Quasimodo does not realise the soldiers wish to hang Esmeralda. He panics when he can't find her. He goes to her room looking for her. He doesn't know where she is. During this attack, Gringoire and a cloaked stranger slip into Notre Dame, and they find Esmeralda about to sneak out of the cathedral. Gringoire offers to save her. She agrees. The three get into a boat and paddle down the Seine. Esmeralda passes out after hearing the people chanting in the streets that they want her dead. When she awakens, she finds that Gringoire is gone and the stranger is Frollo. Oh, again. He gives her a choice. Stay with me now or be handed over. Esmeralda asked to be executed. Angry, Frollo casts her into the arms of Paquette. Esmeralda and Paquette realise she is Agnes. Esmeralda is Agnes, Paquette's lost child. So Paquette is actually her mother, who's now Gadelle. The guards arrive. Paquette, who is now Gadelle, asks to show mercy for herself and Esmeralda. Gadelle kicks and bites the guard, and he gets fed up with it, and he throws her to the ground, and she hits her head on a stone, and she dies there and then. At Notre Dame, Quasimodo is still looking frantically for his friend Esmeralda. He sees Frollo looking demented on the North Tower. He follows Frollo's gaze, where he sees Esmeralda in a white dress in her death throes, dangling from the scaffold. Quasimodo pushes Frollo off the tower in rage. He then tracks Esmeralda's body to the mass graveyard where she was dumped after the execution, and he starves himself to death while embracing her corpse. And that is the story, in a quick form of the Victor Hugo story, which is so different from the Disney movie, but is more likely to be the truth. It is closer to reality, I would imagine, than all these wonderful things happening. And I think that's a problem sometimes with Disney, is that we all think we're going to get the Disney fairy tale. And the truth of the matter is that that's not how it is. But anyway, that's the story. Thanks for listening.
À la ville en fête et en délire, suffoquant sous le soleil et sous la joie, et j'entends dans la musique les cris, les rires qui éclatent et rebondissent autour de moi, et perdu parmi ces gens qui me bousculent, étourdi, désemparé, je reste là, quand soudain je me retourne, il se recule, et la foule vient me jeter entre ses bras. Emportés par la foule qui nous traîne, nous entraîne, écrasés l'un contre l'autre, nous ne formons qu'un seul corps. Et le flot sans effort nous pousse enchaîner l'un et l'autre, et nous laisse tous deux épanouis, enivrés et heureux. Entraînés par la foule qui s'élance et qui danse une folle farandole, nos deux mains restent soudées. Et parfois soulevés, nos deux corps enlacés s'envolent et retombent tous deux épanouis, enivrés et heureux. Et la joie qu'elle a poussée par son sourire me transperce et rejaillit au fond de moi. Mais soudain, je pousse un cri parmi les rires, quand la foule vient l'arracher d'entre mes bras. Emportés par la foule qui nous traîne, nous entraîne, nous éloigne l'un de l'autre, je lutte et je me débat. Mais le son de ma voix s'étouffe dans le rire des autres, et je crie de douleur, de fureur et de rage, et je pleure. Et traîné par la foule qui s'élance et qui danse une folle farandole, je suis emporté au loin. Et je crispe mes poings maudissant la foule qui me vole l'homme qu'elle m'avait donné que je n'ai jamais retrouvé.
Bonjour. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making it. I want to make more videos. I've been making them for a little while now, and I'm hoping that I'm improving. I would be very grateful for any feedback. Please like, subscribe and share my video. The makeup is listed at the end. The song is a song by Edith Piaf that came out in 1957. The song, because I looked up the English translation, actually means being in the crowd and being pulled along by the crowd and meeting someone special in that crowd, and then the crowd separating the two people. That's what I sort of gleaned from when I looked at the song and the explanation of the song. So I'm hoping to do more of these videos, and thank you for watching my video. And all I can say is au revoir. So hi again. I've still got quite a lot of my video that doesn't have any speaking or any songs or anything really. I suppose I'm new to this and not really sure how long things are going to take. I did edit my video as much as I could, and I think next time I will have a different mirror setup. I did have a different mirror setup on one of my videos that I did before, but I'd forgotten about that. So I think that next time I'll do the other mirror trick that I have, where I don't have to have a mirror. You know, because it's quite distracting, I find, when I'm doing stuff in the mirror. All these things take time and to learn. And it's been quite a journey, you know, on getting lighting and stuff like that. I do want to start doing lives, which I'm not quite confident enough to do them yet. I will, at some point, I will start doing them. So with, at the moment, I'm using the kits that I've got, which I've shown you in the video what I'm using. I haven't got to the point where I'm using specific brushes, and probably putting a cotton bud in your mouth is probably not. No. But I mean, I'm doing it myself, and I would never do that if I was doing that on a model. Since this pandemic has gone on, I found that I've had to do everything on myself, which is being quite challenging. And sometimes I feel like maybe I look a bit narcissistic or something, but it's really because I wasn't allowed to use any models at all for nearly a year and a half. And the only way that I could practice was on myself. And it was challenging for me because before I was practicing on myself, I tended to really do the same kind of makeup every day. I do feel that I learned quite a bit. I probably would have learnt more if I'm not such a busy person outside of these videos, because I have to work and pay my bills. I'm not one of these people that's been born with a silver spoon in their mouth so that I can just sit at home and do videos. I have to do other stuff as well. But, you know, for me, it's become like a little outlet, a creative outlet. Like I said, I do want to start doing lives. I know that YouTube does lives, and I know that Facebook and Instagram do lives as well. So if I can get my confidence up a bit more, I will try to get there. I quite enjoy doing the stories as well, like learning things. Like I did this story, and I've done other stories in my other videos. I quite enjoy just finding these things out. I'm drawn to mystery stories, ghost stories, and that nature. A bit about my background. I come from a background of tarot card readers and palm readers and tea leaf readers, and so I come from that kind of spiritual background where, although people very believing in God, like Catholic style background, they also have another side to them where they're very spiritual and like to be able to tell people you know, their future and stuff. And to be quite honest with you, I have a feeling about that, where at one point I wasn't sure whether it was the right thing to do or not. But now I think that a lot of things were taken out of our religious texts. Is like the Book of Enoch is no longer in the Bible, and I don't see it as evil. I see it as something that can help people when they're in a dilemma or they're feeling traumatized about stuff. I feel it can help people, but I feel it's very discouraged in our society to be spiritual. You're laughed at, and but I think maybe since the pandemic, I think people are more turning to God and turning to spirituality, as in like I always pray over the cards. If I did card readings, I always pray over the person, and I ask, you know, the Archangel Michael and the angels to be present while I'm doing it. So, and sometimes I've seen people, you know, with the sage, so they're cleansing the areas before they tell tarot. I will have to do a video when I'm doing a reading. I don't really want to do a reading on myself, but now the pandemic's sort of over, I probably will do a reading at some point. or I will do a palm reading or something. I didn't do it for a lot of years because, like I said, I was told it wasn't good, but I've realised that I'm not going to listen to this religious dogma. I'd rather, see if I feel that it feels okay, then I'm doing it for the right reasons. There's 2 scriptures in the Bible. One scripture says about something, but it's something different, and the other one says it's okay. So that's really me, and that's what I really like doing. Is like I really like finding out stories, interesting stories, and like this one that I did about the Hunchback of Notre Dame, like Esmeralda, the character in it. Disney had really kind of fluffed that up, and I really feel that Disney has a lot to answer for in relationships, because a lot of people, when you've been Disneyfied as a child, you think that's how life is, and it really isn't. And I think it gives people very unrealistic expectations. I think it's nice. I think the cartoons are nice, but I think it's always a happy ending, and I really think that life is very rarely a happy ending. I think it's chapters of life, and you have to take the good with the bad, and the bad with the good. That's just the way life is, and sometimes you have a happy times, and sometimes you don't, and you just have to learn to get through the hard times. And I think sometimes when you have the hard times, that's what makes you appreciate the good times more. Now I'm becoming a philosopher on here. So yeah, it's been a hard couple of years. I'm hoping that it'll be over soon, and we can, I can start doing more of what I was doing before, but definitely doing some models instead of just doing myself. And so as I said, I don't use any particular brushes at all at the moment, although I know I've seen these makeup artists and they seem to know the names of all these different brushes. And also when I was like growing up, I didn't have a lot of money, so I used to make things last longer, like if my powders would break, I'd put it in a little plastic bag. I would scrape things out of things because I didn't have the money to keep buying new stuff. I mean, obviously now things are a little bit easier, but it's, I think some of these habits, when you haven't had a lot of money, do sort of stay with you for life. But, I am enjoy doing this. It is fun for me. And, I don't really know much else to say. Just that I am going to do another video, and I am going to challenge myself a bit more on the next one. And it's definitely been a creative experience doing these videos that I've really enjoyed, and I think a lot of people have found in different ways creative things that have got them through the pandemic. I think there's a lot of people that are finding their creativity at the moment, and I find that really interesting, and I think it's helping people. And I also think that education is not right for me. When I look at how it is, I'm grateful. I just don't think the education system of today, I don't feel that all of it is, a lot of it is a lot of red tape and not what you need in life. I hope that things will go back to education being more about storytelling and art and the things that make the cultural things of life, poetry, music, art. Some people can sing, some people can play music, some people can write poems, some people can write fantastic stories, some people can tell you maybe something from your future or your past that can help you when you're in all these times. And I kind of was looking at, recently I've been looking at witches, the witches that were burnt at the stake and stuff. I might do a video on something on that. But I was looking at it, and why were the women vilified but the people that killed them weren't? Because I think a lot of the time they were just people that lived in villages that were making herbs and stuff to help people heal a wound and stuff like that. And in other cultures, I mean, that goes on today. People can make stuff from natural leaves that can heal people. And I think it's, you know, the pharmaceutical companies are making so much money out of everybody, you know. It's like when you take medicine for one thing, and then you need medicine for something else that this medicine has given you a side effect for. So I think these women that were burnt at the stake and, you know, put on that ducking stool and stuff like that, I think a lot of those women were basically just herbalists that were trying to help people in their community. And I just think it was probably to do with pharmaceutical companies that wanted to, you know, have money off people and stuff. That I don't know what pharmaceutical companies were around them, but I'm sure it's got something to do with that, which is why they were vilified like they were. Yeah, I do think that women through history have had and still do, have a rough time of it. And I think, you know, we have got women now that are trying to change that. Whatever you think about Madonna, she's definitely made strides against this stereotypical that you can't do things when you're older mentality, because men can do what they like all their lives. They can have children at 70. Mick Jagger's having kids at 70, but if it's a woman doing anything, it's all deemed as wrong. And I think that needs to change. Anyway, that's my little lecture, because I've got well, I'm doing this makeup video. I needed to say a few things to make up the time, and that's just what I was thinking about. I just shared a few of my thoughts. Anyway, I think hopefully I've done enough on this voice text now to finish the rest of the video. Thanks for listening to me. Please share, like and subscribe to my video, and I will hopefully be back doing another video very soon. Thanks again. Bye.